Friday edition. Last night in Foxborough, Massachusetts, a little road trip near the Patriots Museum, which chronicles a 2-decade dynasty. An elite group of historians, bookworms, and almost Andy fought and toiled and burned the midnight oil to deliver the best segment of all of sports. It's an honor and a privilege. It's time for a special edition of Dynasty Tears. Wow!
Indeed it is. It's a, I guess at this point, annual tradition. As the Chiefs get ready to play in the Super Bowl, we just figure out.
You do this? You did
we
this?
We did do this last year before the conference championship games, actually, is when we did it. Because I went back and watched it, and we said the Chiefs were 2 wins away from winning back-to-back Super Bowls, so that must have been when we did it. It was probably regular tiers week, time of the week, because we didn't have enough teams left.
Okay.
The other. Well,
let's just get to it. We're doing this. Like, actually, it was on a Wednesday. You remember that Wednesday we ordered out from Chipotle? Actually, let's go, man. Let's do the content. Let's get to it.
That was a good one.
The other element that should be addressed is there's only 6 actual dynasties. So these bottom 2 rows could have been or close to.
Well, I was looking, I was like, wait a minute.
All right, 5th row, could have been but weren't. The Raiders, late 70s to early 80s. Washington in the 80s. The Giants in the 80s. The Giants again with Eli. And then, of course, what could have been Buffalo
like
Bills.
You said, not Dynasty.
Of course, yes. And so here's the resumes of those 5 teams. So you'll see all of them, multiple Super Bowl appearances, all of them but the Bills, multiple Super Bowls. None of them, however, went back-to-back, and none of them also had repeated Super Bowl appearances other than the ones they won. The Bills, of course, are kind of in their own category. Going to 4 straight, we thought would never be done again. Now we assume will be done in about 12 months and a week. 4th row. So these are teams that were all-time legendary teams, just didn't do it quite long enough. Now, the Packers are a weird one because it's Super Bowl era.
Super Bowl era.
It's Super Bowl era. So if we were expanding it to NFL history, the Packers are a clear-cut dynasty. Super Bowl era, they went to 2, won 2. The Broncos obviously won back-to-back. The Dolphins lost a Super Bowl, then won back-to-back. And the Cowboys in the 70s with Roger Staubach. We can show you guys their resumes. Again, Packers 2 for 2, Broncos 2 for 2. We told you about what the Dolphins did. Those Cowboys didn't go back-to-back. They went to 4, though. And in that 8-year stretch, were in 6 conference championship games. They were really close. Probably one more. If they would have won one of those Super Bowls they lost to the Steelers, they probably then are.
I think you could call that Miami team a dynasty. 2 and 3 years. I mean, at the very least, a mini dynasty.
Mini dynasty, sure. Mini dynasty, but now there are 6 true full-blown dynasties. We will reveal them now. The Cowboys from 92 to 95. The Patriots from 01 to 04. And the Patriots from 14 to 18. So looking at their resumes, those Cowboys team, 4-year stretch, 4 conference championship games, 3 Super Bowl appearances, 3 Super Bowl wins. The 01 to 04 Patriots in a 4-year stretch, 3 Super Bowl wins. They obviously, and then the 1 year in the middle, missed the playoffs, which is a bit of an oddity. And then the Patriots from 14 to 18. In those 5 years, went to 4 out of 5 Super Bowls, became, at the time, just the 3rd team ever to make 3 consecutive Super Bowls, won 3 championships, and never finished outside of the Final 4. And now the 3 greatest dynasties in NFL history, 2 and 3. The Niners of the 80s and the Steel Curtain Steelers of the 70s. The resumes are spectacular. The Niners, in a 9-year stretch, 4 trips to the Super Bowl, 4 Super Bowl titles. What I don't want to say hurts them because they're so high up, but the reason they were not truly in contention for the top spot is a 9-year stretch, only 5 spectacular years. 4 of the 9 years they didn't make the Final 4. You want to throw one of them out because there was a strike year, that's fine still. 3 of the regular years they didn't make the Final 4. And the Steelers in the 70s, 4 titles, 4 Super Bowl appearances, 5 conference championship games, and then the greatest dynasty in NFL history is the one we are currently watching. 1 win shy of a three-peat. The first team ever to make 5 out of 6 Super Bowls. There are no down years in this stretch, no down seasons, and the furthest they have been in this stretch from making the Super Bowl is an overtime 3-point loss. Right now, that's what it looks like. In about 10 days, it will look like this. Just throw a 4 up there. The greatest dynasty we've ever seen is the dynasty we are currently seeing, the 2019 to 2024 Kansas City Chiefs, and we'll see how long they can keep it going. Greg Jennings, go right ahead.
Look, the Chiefs have obviously been spectacular. I always question the Green Bay Packer one because of the Super Bowl, World Championship era. The Patriots, I get breaking it up, but I wouldn't break it up. But it's kind of like the mountain, the all-time quarterback mountain that we had. Yeah. And Josh Allen was on there, and I was like, oh, there's one team that doesn't belong. Mm-hmm. The Buffalo Bills, again, they don't belong.
Oh, really? 4 straight?
They never won one.
What did they win?
No.
Exactly. So therefore, you take them off, and I look at the 05 to 10 Pittsburgh Steelers. Wow. They won the Super Bowl in 5. They won the Super Bowl in 8. They had another Super Bowl appearance in 10 that they lost to yours truly. But that team should be, I'm not saying they're a dynasty, but they definitely should be.
Replace the Bills.
Right. Should replace the Bills.
If the Giants do.
Yeah, and that's my point. Like the Bills did not
the
win 07-11 Giants. So I just don't see how the Bills are on. I get it. 4 Super Bowl appearances, tough to do. But if you got a category where you're the best losers, then they're at the top. But they're not. They shouldn't be on here with teams who are actually won Super Bowls.
I think making 4 consecutive Super Bowls and going through the teams they had to go through to get there is, I think that is more impressive, might not be more gratifying than winning a singular Super Bowl. Now, I understand the team you're talking about is won 2 Super Bowls in the Pittsburgh Steelers in, what, a 6-season stretch?
Correct.
05, 08, they won 2, and then they got to a third. Brew, it seemed like brain went to where mine went. When I was debating whether or not to include that Steelers team, the team they were up against in my head was Eli's Giants. Not so much against the Buffalo Bills. The edge they have on Eli's Giants, honestly, or the edge Eli's Giants has on them, is who they beat in the Super Bowl. And as opposed to beating Matt Hasselbeck and the Seattle Seahawks in what was considered not a great team, and then also beating a great story but not a great team at all, the Kurt Warner Cardinals. Those 2 things, to me, as opposed to you are beating the greatest Patriot team any of us had ever seen and maybe have ever seen. And then that 2011 Patriot team was spectacular, and they beat them both times. That, to me, gave them the edge.
It's why I left
those guys
the
and just
Giants
took the Bills
alone
out.
And just took the Bills off.
Gosh. Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen hater, first things first. Greg Jennings, who could have seen it coming?
Look, if the Chiefs win this Super Bowl, they are absolutely the greatest dynasty. 5 Super Bowl appearances in 6 years, 4 Super Bowls, and the first 3-peat ever in the Super Bowl era. So they would be a top. But as of this moment, or if they lose the Super Bowl, it's the Steelers. Like right now, until that game is played, the Steelers, I think, are the best dynasty. Because they, just like the Chiefs, even if the Chiefs win, they will have won 4 in 6 years. And if the Chiefs lose this game, now you're looking at 4 Super Bowl wins in 6 years versus 3 in 6 years. Mm-hmm. And then you're looking at a 4-0 record in the Super Bowl versus a 3-2 record in the Super Bowl. So I think clearly, like this, I get, okay, the Chiefs got to 1 more, but I really don't care about getting there. I care about winning it. You know, I get it. We give it a little credit. Oh, Joe Burrow got to a Super Bowl. At the end of the day, it's about winning it. And I definitely think right now, until the Chiefs win this Super Bowl, the Steelers are the greatest.
But the flip side of that is the Chiefs, as of right now, though, also they haven't won it, but they also haven't lost it.
So right. I'm just saying, right, like at this moment.
So
I can't put them ahead.
Here's what I would offer you. If they lose it, I think there's an argument to drop them down. But right now, with that game being an unknown, because what the...
But how would you put them at the...
Because I think that right now...
Just by getting there?
Well, what they've done these 6 years. Because the other thing that the Steelers and Niners have in common that the Chiefs don't is the years they didn't win it, they were decisively defeated. And that, to me, when we're again picking nits here, like the Niners, I know you weren't talking about them. The Niners lost scoring 3 points in the wild card round in the midst of this. Then the next year lost 49-3 in the divisional round. The Steelers, the 2 years between their 2 Super Bowls, both playoff losses were by double digits. One was in the divisional round. The Chiefs' 6-year run, again, with the result being unknown of this game, the only decisive loss came in the Super Bowl. The only time they didn't make the Super Bowl, it was overtime of the conference championship game. And let me add one other thing for Kansas City that I think you'll agree with. Their run, during this 6-year run, there have been only five other teams that were perennial, consistent, deep playoff runs. Baltimore, at least more than one deep playoff run. Baltimore, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Philly, and San Francisco. The Chiefs, as of right now, are 9-1 against the other 5 contenders of the era. And so, 9-1 in the playoffs, I should say.
I mean, that's all well and good, but at the end of the day, I don't think anybody cares. I think we care about the Super Bowl. Did you win the Super Bowl? And if the Steelers have 4 in 6 years and the Chiefs have 3 in 6 years, I don't think it's a debate. There's no debate. So, and then I also would not have the Niners on the same line as the Steelers, because it took them 9 years to accomplish what the Steelers accomplished in 6 years. 4 and 9 years that's great, obviously, but I actually would argue that those Cowboys, now I get it, you probably got the Niners ahead of the Cowboys because they won 4, but that Cowboys run where they won 3 out of 4, I mean, I could argue moving them ahead of the Niners, because the Niners was just so long.
And then go Wildes. The problem for the Cowboys and the first iteration of the Patriots is there was no, once you stopped winning Super Bowls, you also, for the next few years, for the Patriots, for the Cowboys, for the next forever years.
Yeah, it was over.
Right. It's not like, then we made a bunch more deep playoff runs. It was just a wrap for them. Go ahead, KW. I know what you're going to do because it's the thing you said you weren't going to do.
No, I mean, I would combine the fact that we're sitting there next to the Cowboys who were good for a little while.
3 years.
Yeah.
I do tend to think of the Patriots as, don't you think of them as one?
I'm going to let Wildes make his point and then I'll rebut it.
So I didn't do a bunch of research because I feel like it's just parsing numbers. So it's more of a feel thing. So I'm going to kind of go off the board. Bear with me. When you think about run into someone who likes a certain team outside of their regional team, it feels like you run into people. Hubs is from upstate New York, loves the Raiders. Lots of people love the Cowboys, have never even been to Texas. People love the Steelers. My buddy loves the Steelers. You from? No, not anywhere near Pittsburgh. Loves the Steelers.
The Packers fans.
Packers fans, the same thing. And it feels like that has grown out of those dynasties.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot of Patriots fans, but when Tom Brady left, I don't know, and maybe the Patriots fans are little and they'll grow up like, yeah, I like the Patriots. I used to love Tom Brady. But when Tom Brady left and won, I think that struck at the Patriots, like being a fan of the Patriots outside of New England, that those other teams still have. So this all boils down to this. I almost think, to break format, Tom Brady is his own dynasty. That Tom
the
Brady
LeBron
is
argument.
Yeah,
in a different
that Tom
light.
Brady is the through line, and if Tom Brady was his own figurehead, that he would be number one.
So
I know it's strange and breaks format.
Yeah, so he's got 7.
So can I?
But he bridges that. He's like, and by the way,
franchise.
I got another one. And by the way, the dynasty that you like so much, I beat that dynasty in the AFC Championship game, and I won another one that they lost.
So that's fair. You're right. It would break format. Can I make the argument against the Patriots being one contiguous dynasty?
Sure.
Because I think that people have kind of memory hold what a more than half-decade period was after they won their first 3 championships. It was ugly, early, shocking playoff defeats to teams that we did not consider that good. When they were going for their three-peat, they got beat by Jake Plummer and the Broncos. Then next year, they had a 21-3 lead in the AFC Championship game and lost. The next year, now that was to Peyton Manning, it's an excellent quarterback. The next year is the undefeated season that ended as horrifically as one can end against a team that, again, at that moment in time, Eli was not considered some great player because that's what made him the great player. And that Giants team,
great team.
Right, that Giants team was not great. In 2008, they missed the playoffs. Now, Tom Brady got hurt. That's nothing against Tom, but it's again, if we're saying the Patriots dynasties 01-18, this is a big portion of it. And then in 2009, they get annihilated in the wild card round, blown out by a Joe Flacco Ravens team. And then in 2010, they lose their first playoff game at home to Mark Sanchez. So that is 05 to, and then 2011, a great team makes Super Bowl, and they start their run of the conference championship, 8 straight conference championship games. I do not think it is legitimate to call a team that had a 6-year run of what's going on here, which in the middle of it also included the greatest team ever that had the biggest Super Bowl upset of all time. All of that is one dynasty. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as that early defense, young clutch Tom Brady, then a weird half decade, and then Brady, peak of his powers, Gronk, Hernandez, all of it, the run through the 2010s.
I mean, that's legitimate. I think of them as one dynasty because the 2 main guys, Brady and Belichick, were there. Just like I think of the Spurs as one dynasty. That whole 20 years under Duncan, even though they went, 6-7 years between winning championships.
So within the Spurs dynasty, there was another dynasty? So the Spurs, because they started in 99 and ended in 14, and in the middle of it, the Lakers?
I think of that as a dynasty. Just like I think of the Bird Celtics and the Showtime Lakers as like dynasties.
I don't think I would trade my 20 years of Patriots dynasty for the Chiefs mini dynasty right now.
Well, would you? I mean, first of all, you can't call it a mini dynasty.
I knew that was going to strike.
For the record, if the Chiefs, if they have right now is a mini dynasty, then there's only one dynasty ever, and it's the Patriots. And if that's your opinion, that's your opinion. But you can't. You don't call the Cowboys of the '90s a mini dynasty. You don't like the. Yeah. So what does it take to be a grown-up dynasty?
Oh, I mean, we've been rolling for 20 years. We're almost 20 years. You got a nice little dynasty.
Okay, so that's fine.
It's like a medium-sized soda. It's fun. It's nice.
I'll tell you this.
Nice dynasty.
If the Chiefs dynasty ends up having a decade-long drought of winning Super Bowls, I'll be crested.
If we're in the Super Bowls, you're going to go to Super Bowl?
If the Chiefs dynasty has 10 years where the apex of it for a full decade is we lose a couple Super Bowls to mediocre teams, I will.
If they're not mediocre, if you're in the Super Bowl, you're not a mediocre team.
Mediocre regular season teams. Listen, hey,
they're so mediocre. Here's how great the Patriots dynasty is: the teams we lost to get a shot on the make it. That's how good we are.
Yeah,
it's like good. It's like Buster Douglas. It's like congratulations, Buster Douglas, one of the best because you beat Dynasty. That's the only reason they're on there.
Can I quote Tony Soprano? And there's no lower form of conversation than remember when. You guys used to be really good. You used to be really good. I understand it's sad.
What happened? Why is this dynasty? Why does the dynasty have these gaps in it for you? Why does it start there? Oh, because you played the Patriots and lost.
Because it hadn't.
And then the other one.
There's no gap. What are you talking about? It's when everyone.
But why didn't it start a year earlier?
Because they didn't win the Super Bowl.
Why not?
Because the Patriots did.
That's right.
Yes.
They played each other, and we won.
Yeah, the 2018 Patriots were better than the 2018.
Here's the thing. But you decide to start it there.
I started every single dynasty with.
I know, but you don't know. Well, our dynasty starts here. It's when you win.
When you win. That's for everybody.
Yes.
Well, then I guess the Niners should include the '94 season. All right. So is the Niners dynasty 81 to 94?
I understand that you have to start it when you start winning, but the fact that you're in the AFC Championship game and lose to the Patriots, and then you're just like, well, let's throw that out, but keep the Patriots wins because this is where they are.
This last piece doesn't make sense, but that's fine. We can move on. Like every single team there, it starts when you win your first Super Bowl. Yeah. That's when that's not controversial.
Yes, but when.
Yes, they could have won more Super Bowls. They didn't. They could have started Mahomes as rookie, or maybe they would have won that one. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.